Welcome to Salute to the Ears, where my family and I discuss everything Disney, from parks, food, and rides to travel tips, movies, and more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salute to the Ears. I am your host, Jeremy Simon, and with me once again is my wife, Erica.
Hey, guys.
And we are going to be talking about some of the things we're excited about. I guess even maybe more excited about.
We hit our 60-day window for our upcoming trip.
Right.
And anybody who's planned a trip since ADR's changed, since the advanced dining reservation dates changed, since COVID, since the park reservation systems come about, knows that 60-day mark is like a big deal now.
It is a big deal.
And so I was really starting to get excited. But then Disney went and launched like all kinds of news last week, and now I'm really excited.
Yeah. No, like the last 2 weeks has been like cram full of stuff. There's all kinds of things that people have been missing, things that people have been looking forward to, and things that we didn't even know were a possibility that kind of came out in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. I think one of the things that we're excited about, and not necessarily it's something that we do a lot of, but when we see it, we love it. And it's not just for our own kids, but for other people's kids and kids at heart. And that's meet and greets coming back.
I am so excited. So yes, we've had meet and greets in the parks, and you've
Right.
had these like socially distanced meet and greets happening where you can't actually touch the characters and you can take pictures with them. And we finally got to the point where, like you can do the indoor meet and greets with no masks and things like that. But we are finally going to get back that being able to hug Mickey, like that.
Right.
That old school meet and greet, getting to have that actual relational interaction with that character, because that's something we're missing. It's actually something that was talked about at church today, was like that relational aspect of interaction that has been missing over the last 2 years.
Yeah. No, and it's been is you've been able to go around and see a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
Because it's been fast and you're just kind of going by and you snap in a picture. Maybe they do a selfie real quick with you. And it's gone by fast, which is nice if you want to see a lot of them. But now it's back to getting your hug, close up.
I mean, and here's the thing. They still go pretty fast. You
They
don't
do.
get to
They do.
hang out and stand there for 25 minutes and just like have all the time in the world.
Right.
You do get kind of,
Right.
that's why the character has a cast member, handler and somebody to help facilitate that and kind of guide you along of like moving on. But we have experienced such magic with different characters. Like I will cry talking about it.
Right.
And seeing different, we have seen so many kids and kids at heart get to have these character interactions that they're impactful in ways that go beyond like just meeting the person that you think is, fun. Like it does become truly an embodiment of that Disney magic and that spirit of all of it. And I really was like, hearing that they were coming back was like, and especially coming back before our trip, I'm so excited. I mean, I had no plans to go and do character meet and greets because I thought I really don't want to have to deal with the like distanced thing. It's going to break my heart. Like I don't want to do that. And now I'm standing in all the lines. I'm meeting everybody.
Yeah. This is going to be phased. It's not just like ready, set, go. Here they all are.
Yeah. So this opens. So we are it's Palm Sunday now when we're recording. Next Sunday is Easter. The day after Easter is when that phased reopening begins. Yeah. And so I'm going to guess, Disney hasn't said, I'm going to guess though that it's going to be non-face characters first.
Right. So it opens up April 18th. One of the things I saw was actually Mickey and Minnie in Animal Kingdom is going to be one of the first ones, and same thing in Magic Kingdom.
Now, is that one, am I remembering right, that one is a meet and greet that is outside Animal Kingdom?
I think, but I don't remember for sure because they keep building different sets for all these characters.
Yeah.
Some of them have gotten some pretty nice sets now.
Yeah.
Like Donald over in Epcot wearing his Three Caballeros stuff. Like, it's a good set. They've gotten some good ones now, but it's coming in phases, and it's just not at Disney World. It's also at Disneyland and on the cruise line. And like I said, it's all going to be phased. Oh, and in Hawaii.
I'm really hoping that means that sometime soon we'll get to see in Disneyland, get to see Mirabelle, get to meet some of these little Mirabelles that have been, coming to see her and say hi. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of just other women, particularly in, that movie, that Encanto was so impactful in the storytelling, that being able to kind of,
Right.
Not that the person playing Mirabelle, that Mirabelle there is the Mirabelle, but it's...
No, and it's like...
But it is.
Adventures Campus has never had...
Yeah, you've never gotten to meet them.
So you're going to have all these people, all these kids in like their Spider-Man outfit or cap or whoever their favorite hero is.
Yeah.
And now they're finally going to get to like hug them and get their picture taken with them. And that's going to be fantastic.
I mean, I do. I really do have some of the best memories that I have. And one of the worst memories that I have at Disney World is also a character meet and greet. Poor Mickey. Oh, man. Mickey broke just total accident. Mickey accidentally tried to toss his autograph book back to somebody he was meeting in front of us and accidentally got her in the face. And it was
traumatic.
For a character that has a permanent smile on their face, you could see the terror that was happening to Mickey. And so, I mean, this is probably one of the worst memories I have at the parks. But we really do have some of the best memories of character meet and greets and opportunities with characters and just interactions in general.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can remember when we took the kids the first time when they were like itty bitty and Brooklyn meeting Stitch for the first time. Yeah. And maybe that's where her obsession now comes from, is that it started that early.
Because she was scared to death.
She was scared to death of everybody else but Stitch.
Right. I think, was it Goofy that finally broke her down at Tusker House and she was okay?
Yeah, but that was the next trip.
Was it?
Yeah, the one I'm talking about with Stitch was the very first trip when she was like 8 months old.
And you got so many good magical memories with characters like Jackson calling Captain Hook a codfish.
Oh man, that was the best.
And character like Captain Hook just completely going over the top.
Yeah.
But it's even like, I hope this leads back to characters like going through the parks.
Yeah.
Like Ray. Like, hope we get Ray and Chewie walking around Batuu again. Or like the kids walking Buzz back to his toy box.
I mean, you can see a couple of these are on our Instagram, particularly the kids walking Buzz back to the toy box. Although the sound, I guess, isn't available anymore. I'm probably going to have to redo it. And but we really have had some opportunities for really, really cool interactions and really fun and funny ones and just sweet ones. I can remember Brooklyn being little and meeting Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
And that felt so magical even to me, to like, you walk through the entrance into Pixie Hollow and suddenly you're fairy sized.
Right.
Everything in that space is, you feel like you're fairy sized. Like you feel like she just came like and you became fairy sized rather than her becoming people sized.
Right.
And it was the sweetest, little sweet memory of tiny, 5-year-old Brooklyn like getting to meet Tinkerbell. And I think it's an important part of the magic. There's a lot of people who are like, the characters, whatever, like, it's just a person, and it embodies the spirit of the magic. And though they work so hard at that,
right,
and doing that well and creating that magic for people there, that I'm glad it's coming back.
Absolutely. It's those characters, especially when they do it so well, it means so much to kids. And like I said, kids at heart. I don't know who's been playing Donald and Daisy lately, but they've been fantastic.
We really have. We've got some of our favorite vloggers that have gotten to interact with them several times over the last few months. And But particularly, like, I don't know, the last 6 weeks or so, there have been some
Yeah.
awesome videos coming out of Donald and Daisy.
They're full of sass and goofing
Especially
off.
Daisy.
And they've been a blast. Somebody was trying to throw a French fry up to
paging Mr. Morrow.
And it was hilarious. Their interaction together, and I hope that comes down
where
to the
it's
ground.
right, where it's more face to face, and even having those characters in parades and things like that, and being able to act more fluidly, more freely. So I'm super excited about it. But as much as we were excited about those character meet and greets, I think you are even more excited about the next piece of news that we need to talk about.
Okay, so for years, almost 4 years, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind has been in the future. It's gonna happen. It's taken them longer to build this ride than it did to build all of Epcot.
Yeah.
It's taken them forever. And we finally have a date that it's going to open up, and it's May 27th.
Yeah, so just before Memorial Day weekend, like it opens Memorial Day weekend, basically, and it's going to be insane.
It was already going to be insane that weekend.
It was going to be insane that weekend no matter what, but the good news is that now, if you were like, oh, that's the only weekend we could go, that's the weekend where our trip is, and you're like, oh, but we're only planning to be at like Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, guess what? You might have a little bit lower crowd than you would have without this.
Right.
Not saying it's not going to be, it's going to be busy. It's Memorial Day weekend, it's going to be busy.
Right.
But those other 3 parks, you may have just a little bit less people than you would have without Guardians opening. I am super excited about it, but you and I differ on this.
Right.
We're super excited about opening. I really, again, I hope that there comes with some character interactions. I hope that there are opportunities for that with this. And I'm super excited about just the photo ops out front.
Right.
Like, I think they've done a fantastic job from what we've seen so far, but I'm very interested to see the actual ride. I have not watched a lot of like here's what it's going to look like, here's what it is, here's what it's made of. And so I'm kind of in the dark on that of like how this is all going to, like, what it is, what it's going to entail, and all of that. And we're going to bring you more of that in the next, like, in May, as more of that information, really gets shared and like what it's all about. But I'm excited about it, but at the same time, like, I think I'm just nervous because it literally opens a week before we go down. Right.
There's a pretty good possibility that even though we'll be there, we may not get to ride it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be virtual pass like Rise of the Resistance was
they
for
haven't
so
announced
long.
It. Well, and Remy's was that way too. Ratatouille was the same way of
somewhat,
a virtual queue to begin with.
Like Rise of the Resistance, like if you didn't have a pass by 7:01 when it opened up at 7, you weren't getting one until it opened up again at like 1 or 2.
And those were gone in seconds. Seconds. I mean, it wasn't like they were gone, it took 5-10 minutes. Like, and if you just weren't on right away, you were screwed. It's seconds.
Yeah.
And I am still convinced there are people using like bots to do this and get them, because I don't know how else.
Right.
But I mean, it's insane how quickly it went with Rise with the virtual queue, and I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified that we have 2 park reservation days for Epcot, and I'm absolutely terrified that we're not going to get to go on it.
Yeah, it's a possibility, or it could just go straight fancy ride, and hey, you got to pay for it, but those are still going to be gone fast.
They're going to be gone really fast, but you will have more people if they have the option to just do standby. You will have people who are like, I'm not paying for it.
Right.
I will go stand in line for 4 hours.
Yeah. You might have them. I think the other problem you'll run into is if they do it like that, where if there's a fancy ride and go to standby, is if you're an annual pass holder and you're not staying in the resorts, then you may have a harder time, because like right now for Rise, at 7 o'clock, it opens up for all the resort guests to try and get there, try and go ahead and pay to ride it.
Well, and here's a question. Will they bring, that's been one of the big complaints as far as the whole virtual queue aspect and just staying in a resort in general of, okay, great, you can get lightning lanes a little bit earlier, but you can't like that doesn't necessarily like it's been a complaint of like that doesn't necessarily still mean that you're going to get the rides that you want. But you have the option for all of those for standby right now. But we've said, and I will keep pounding the table for this, of like the same way that we used to get more out of FastPass booking it early as a resort guest, like you had, you know, a certain amount that you could book earlier than everybody else. Give us that one virtual queue. So if you're doing a 5-day stay or 4-day stay or whatever, you get one virtual queue option and you get to plug and play that for your trip, you know. And that's it. That's the only one you get. You only get that one. You want to ride it again, you are at the mercy of the virtual queue. But you get, you know, you have to, and you're at the mercy of the time, right? You're at the mercy of whatever time it gives you, and all of that. But give us something, because right now the only major perk to staying on property is transportation. You have transportation. You get in 30 minutes early, which seems far from our perspective kind of a joke.
You get one ride.
You get maybe one ride extra. That's if they're not just going ahead and letting other people in, depending on crowd size. And you get to do lightning lanes a little bit early.
And then if you are staying in a deluxe,
you might get, we get one night right now of where we have a deluxe extra extended hours on our trip.
Not a whole lot of perks. So
hopefully,
I mean,
compared to what we had before with the FastPass and dining and and early entry, and like you had a lot more options pre-COVID.
You did. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to handle Genie and Genie Plus with Guardians coming down and meet and greets. I think both of those are eventually going to be part of Genie Plus or buying.
I don't know that the meet and greets will, outside of maybe specialty events.
I don't know. I think some of them could be, just because those lines can get really long.
They can, but at the same time, I can see it being in Genie Plus for but I can't see them being a paid one.
I don't know. And no, not a paid one.
Oh, okay.
Not like a fancy ride.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you meant.
No, but still like, okay, I have Genie Plus at $3.15. I have the option to go meet
the princesses
or Mickey, you know. Oh God, I'm $3.15.
Well, you used to be able to get a fast pass for it. So I mean, the queues are set up to have that, to utilize that. So it wouldn't be out of question.
No, and I mean they're already doing it for parades and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that one's really interesting to me that you can do in the reserve spots for the parades. I was kind of surprised that was even an option, but it makes sense. But getting back to Guardians is a different type of ride. And so compared to having a virtual queue and an opening like Rise, where you have to load a certain amount of people and then they leave and then you load a certain amount of people, its loading factor is supposed to be faster.
They're calling it an Omni Coaster. So an Omni Mover is what's on Haunted Mansion. Right. I'm not sure what an Omni Coaster is. Hopefully it loads quickly, because it's not a short roller coaster. It's one of the longest indoor coasters in the world, and it's actually longer, like several hundred feet. I shouldn't say, like 400 feet or something like that, longer than Velocicoaster.
Wow. I mean, I think you're probably looking at that it's going to load as far as like not quite the moving walkway, but because I'm thinking of it in terms of like something that loads quickly, like even though it's one at a time, it still goes quickly, like Splash, like Pirates, like where like you get queued up, but like it probably won't take as much to versus like something like the other roller coasters where they really have to be like, are you strapped in? Are you buckled? Like, I mean,
it's not going upside down.
Yeah.
It does have a reverse launch, which is exciting.
Yeah, I don't understand how this part is going to.
I'm not sure how it's. There's already part of the story before you get to the coaster, so it'll be interesting to see how it's all going to play out. I'm going to avoid all vlogs, all POV during that week or whatever before we go.
I will be bringing you all of the vlogs and POVs that I can during that time because I need to know.
Right.
I need to know ahead of time. Like, that is me personally. I need to know. My anxiety needs to know, like, what is this going to be like in a at least a general sense. Like, I don't need the full POV, but I need to know, like, hey, what's the loading look like? Or hey, what's the general sense of like the
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. So like, we are taking this trip with my dad this
Yep.
time. My dad has, stuff with his back, and
Right.
he's had surgeries and things. Like, he cannot ride a lot of rides at Disney
Right.
anymore, especially anything that's a thrill ride. So like, I need to look and see and like be like, hey, is this even something that we can even like attempt
Right.
for him to be able to see, or is it just going to be something where he's going to have to watch just a point of view and go with it? So I will be bringing you all of that. May 27th is when it opens. I'm sure we will see
Yep.
media previews and things
Yep.
that week leading up.
There's cast member previews, media previews, annual pass previews, and they're starting, sounds like, fairly quickly.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's some bugs that still need to be figured out in
Right.
the system, probably also in related to things like loading, like,
Right.
and getting
and
people
that's why they
moving
do
through.
these.
Yeah.
And they have all these previews, so the people who are working on the rides as well
They
know what
how
they're
to-
doing.
They know how to load people. They know what the different options are. They know what the different
Right.
scenarios are. That
And
can
if
happen.
they have to get into character, that gives them a good
Yeah,
opportunity
it gives
to
them good
learn how to
practice.
do that. So that's in the future. That's coming up, but it's in the future. And further in the future, Disney
No
announced
date.
something, no date, just something that's kind of cool, like Disney doing something outside of Disney, not necessarily like it reflects in the parks, but in a way it does.
Yeah.
And they announced that they're going to take 80 acres and turn it into affordable housing because housing down around the parks has gotten
In Florida.
insane. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking specifically in Florida,
Florida,
right now,
yep.
but we had a lot of people. We were just talking about this when we were discussing before we started recording this podcast of like how much it's changed of like, COVID hit, and you had all these people who were like, well, okay, my job is now all online. It's all remote. I am not going into an office, and I'm not going back for the foreseeable future. And they went, I don't want to stay where the air hurts my face.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of people that during COVID moved to Florida. So you had fewer restrictions in Florida in general.
Right.
You had, the office work remote situation, and it caused a
Right.
massive housing
Right.
issue
Right.
and especially affordable housing issue.
Right. Because you had a lot of the cast members at Disney and Universal and all the theme parks there that were like, I can't afford to stay here. I don't have a job.
Yeah.
So
like
I'm
Disney
moving.
college program,
Right.
and they went home. Or,
So that you had housing was available and people moved down there, and now there's nothing left.
yeah.
And cast members are struggling to find affordable housing.
Yeah. Some of them, even with having roommates and having,
Right.
they're living, 2, 3, 4 deep in a 2-bedroom apartment
Right.
just to be able to make it
Right.
and make it affordable. And so Disney saw, I have a feeling this was in the works pre-COVID.
Right.
Had to have been on the table at some point.
Right.
Either that, or there was a developer locally who said, hey, we're already planning to do
Right.
something in this realm of things.
Mm-hmm.
What if we partner up? And so I don't know how that came about, but I think it's really going to be a cool opportunity for not only cast members, but the general public as well.
Right. It's what they're doing is they got land over by Flamingo Crossing, so it's where there's a few hotels over there like Target. There's a few things that Disney owns that land, and they've kind of leased it out
Right.
to develop it. And it's also where they house all the college program kids.
Right.
So they're taking 80 acres over there and building 1,300 plus units. They said it's going to be a variety of homes.
Right.
So I'm guessing from 1-bedroom apartments to single-family homes.
Right.
Would be my guess. And that area is close to the parks. It's not far at all. Like, you can see fireworks and stuff from there.
Right.
And giving cast members and general public a chance to still be close to possibly their work
Mm-hmm.
and not have to live with 6 other people in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right. So the average rent right now in that area is almost $2,200.
Yeah, for a 2-bedroom.
For a 2-bedroom apartment. And we're not talking about like necessarily like luxury apartments. We're just talking about an average. So your more luxury type apartments or nicer ones are going to rent you,
right.
quite a bit more than that. And I'm sitting here thinking like, well, that is vastly different than what
right.
ours is here. And I don't know. I mean, you get into some areas of Kansas City where there's a lot of shopping and work opportunities and things. And for some of those nicer apartments, it is in that, it's not outside of that range.
It can be.
However, those are typically not meant for, those are meant for more family-based housing rather than like, or 2 income, no kids, but
right.
versus like being a like kids who are in Disney college program or like kids who are like younger cast members that are straight out of college
or been working at the parks for a while and are going to college and not necessarily part of the college program. That's a lot of money. I can't imagine trying to come up with $2,200 even between 4 people working at the parks, because I mean
I'll just say this, it's less than most people's basic housing allowance in the military.
Right. It absolutely is.
At least enlisted.
Yeah.
So across most places in the country. So
right.
I'm just like throwing that out there of like your housing allowance in the military wouldn't even cover that for a lot of people.
No.
For a lot of families. So I see the need for it. I thought it was really interesting that Disney isn't the only one doing it. Universal's doing something similar,
right.
but almost as many units, smaller property scale.
Theirs is on 20 acres, and it's like 1,000 units.
So I'm going to guess those are only going to be apartments or condominiums or like townhouses.
Right. Disney, like reading what Disney put out, they want it to be a whole community. Mm-hmm. So being right there in Flamingo Crossing, you're going to have Target. You're going to have some restaurants. I'm guessing
probably end up having some kind of urgent care or some kind of like...
There is an urgent care they've already said is going to go over there. And then there's that's why I think Disney's kind of been planning on this for a little bit, mm-hmm. because some of the stuff that's already going in over there is like infrastructure for that community.
Right. I really do believe this was pre-COVID based, but it's just finally now at the place where they're like, okay, now we can go ahead and launch this.
They've developed other communities before, like Golden Oaks which is super expensive.
Yes, and now they are doing another new planned Disney community in California.
Right.
That is like...
They just broke ground on that.
That is like Disney like park type amenities.
Right.
But being in your neighborhood.
Right. And they said that they're going to do that throughout the country.
Yeah, there's going to be multiple places. Please come to Kansas City. I'm just saying. Walt we have a connection, okay? We Kansas City Mickey, okay? Come on.
Yeah, that could be fun, but yeah, we'll see how it turns out down there. Hopefully, they say affordable housing, but it stays affordable.
I hope it does stay affordable, and I hope it. No word yet on how this is going to work. They keep bringing up that cast members will be able to live there, but we know it's going to be open to the general public as well, and so there's no word on like how that's going to work. And the only thing I can compare it to is like a 55 plus type community, right, where majority of the community has to be owned or rented by somebody who is 55 or older. There is a restriction on that property that is not considered what's the word I'm looking for? It's not outside of like equal opportunity for that housing, right? Like it doesn't go against equal opportunity for housing because there's a restrictive base on that, like it is meant for 55 plus, right? And so you usually have a certain number of those homes that have to be open to somebody who is not in order to balance that out. So I'm kind of thinking that's how this is probably going to go, is that there's probably going to be a percentage that has to be allotted to cast members.
Right.
And that you have to be a cast member in order to, especially the rental side of that. If it's, I don't know if it's going to be all rental or if it's going to be some rental, some owned like properties.
It'll be interesting.
I not a whole lot of word on that, but I'm very interested to see how this grows there, and then how that plays out into other developments that are happening, and developers in general around the country, and how they
Right.
view, we've got a housing development, a developer that's trying to develop some land near us that
Right.
we're all like, you're insane. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a good idea. Whereas, like, I'm looking at this and going, this is a great idea.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting and see if this is the only neighborhood they do around there, or if they're going to use some more of their land or purchase more of their land. Like, I know when Disney from California moves out there, whether it's the Imagineers or who all is coming, that are all going to Lake Nona up closer to the airport, and they're developing a big community up there.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if these two kind of tie together and kind of follow the same lines of things that they're developing. But there are so many things coming this summer.
oh my gosh, I cannot get over the list of things that are finally starting to really come back.
Right. It's actually coming back to normal.
It does start to feel that way. I mean, there are certain things, like, I know they've said park reservations aren't going away anytime soon, but that's probably the one piece that really
Yeah.
still
it's
feels not normal. Much as I know that it is helpful as far as planning for them, but it's a pain in the butt on our end.
Right.
But there's some things coming back. Like, we know Everest is going to come back at some point.
Right. It just got postponed again of when it's coming back, but
Hopefully that is.
it sounds like maybe just a couple more weeks.
Yep.
Instead of mid-April, it might be May.
I have a feeling they're going to want that open before Guardians opens, because if it's not, that's going to impact guests,
Yeah.
like where everybody's at in the parks and stuff,
Right.
and all of that. So
Right.
you're going to want that open before Galaxy,
Yep.
but not for Guardians of the Galaxy opens. Minivans are coming back.
Yeah, that's kind of a pleasant surprise. I didn't think they were going to come back, but
Yeah,
No.
we thought they were done for good, and they're
yeah.
coming back. H2O Nights is H2O Glow after hour nights.
it's the after hours event at Typhoon Lagoon.
Yeah, so it's coming back on Saturdays
Yeah.
at Typhoon Lagoon, and it's like 8 to 11. But you can get in starting at 6 if you
Yep.
have that ticket, whereas like the park
Right.
closes at 6 if you don't have that ticket, but you can still get
Right. They have like DJs and ice cream and
glow sticks. There's
Glow
food, so
sticks,
you
yep.
get. It's like some of the other after hours parties that have happened, where it's like, hey, here's this selection of free food.
Right.
We have other food you can buy,
Right.
but here's also
Yep.
a selection of free food, and those tickets are ranging anywhere from like $59 to $75 a person.
Right. Yeah. No, it's something to think about, and
You know, we're
especially
considering doing it.
if the water parks are your thing, like it might be fun because you won't have to wait in line nearly as long, and
Mm-mm.
being in that water park at night is a completely different experience, I have to imagine.
And here's the thing you got to remember about it too, is that all of the water at all of the Disney properties,
Right.
For the water parks, the pools at all of the resorts, it's all heated.
Right.
So it's not getting down to, like, it's not hot
Right.
unless you're in a hot tub, but like it's not going to ever get to. So even if you go to that in like May, it's not necessarily going to be water that is
Right.
like frigid.
Right. And I just thought of one other one that we did not write down that's coming back,
One.
and I was excited about the cultural representatives.
Oh my gosh, I'm super excited about them coming back. And that really, I do think, is the thing that is, or one of the big pieces that's holding back Dining Plan.
Right. It's if you don't know what these are, especially in Epcot, they'll get people from those countries to come in, and they're working the dining facilities and
The shops.
and they share their culture with you.
Yeah.
And it's a great way for all of us to learn about the different cultures.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still remember some of the interactions we had with like servers at some of the restaurants that we've eaten at in Epcot, and you know, and
Right.
getting to like hear where they're from, and of course we're the kind of people who ask.
Yeah.
We want to know. We know they have stories, and we know that they have, you know, a life outside of the park and outside of their
Mhm.
job, and we're always interested in that. But I'm super excited. I do think it's one of the things holding back Dining Plan. I do think it's one of the things that is holding back just a lot of staffing
Staffing.
stuff.
And I think that's honestly, I think it's part of the magic.
It is.
It's especially in Epcot because you get so many different cultures there. But I mean, you'll see people from other cultures working in the other parks too, especially like over in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, you definitely get it like within Animal Kingdom. For sure, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, you'll get it at Animal Kingdom Lodge. You'll get it at Polynesian. You'll get it at a lot of other places. I mean, you'll have them. They'll work all over the parks. I mean, all over the entire, expansive.
I'm excited that they finally get to come back and they kind of help fill.
So many that had to just like. It wasn't just, okay, the park is closed. It was like, not only is the park closed, but I have to try to get into a country that may not be accepting citizens back right now when COVID hit. I mean, like, it was pretty traumatic for a lot of them.
Right. And they didn't know how they were going to get people back. But it sounds like that they've got enough people interested that it's not going to be a problem to fill those.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I'm hopeful that they get... I really want them to have good experiences in getting to come back. Like, I have my family, when I was growing up, hosted exchange students. And so I understand the power of what it means to get to go live and work and like experience another country and how that can be really beneficial for you. And be able to enjoy it. Like, so I'm hopeful for them, and I won't lie. I'm really hopeful that it means that we get to bring the dining plan back.
Yeah, no, that's something else that's supposed to come back this year, but we just haven't heard a whole lot about it lately.
I'm convinced that it is the international cast members are one of the things that is holding that back in being able to open that, because so many of the parts of the dining plan are based in Epcot.
Right.
I mean, you have more restaurants in Epcot than any other park.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully this means all those restaurants will be open again.
Yeah, at Capat, like
right. Because there's some of them that haven't even opened up.
Yeah.
They've been closed ever since. So hopefully this means all of it will be open up, which then will also mean hopefully less time in lines.
Right.
And more of a pleasant time for everybody.
That's the thing. We kind of forget that by not having some of those restaurants open.
Right.
That's a crowd eater, right? Like, those table service restaurants are a crowd eater, and
heck, meet and greets are a crowd eater.
Meet and greets are a crowd eater. Restaurants are a crowd eater. And here's my thing: there were a lot of us who loved the dining plan because it freed us up to just eat where we wanted without having to be like, oh, well, that's an expensive one. That's not.
Because we've already paid for it.
Because you've already paid for it. It's already done. It's already in there. Like,
I'm not saying it's a money saver by any means.
It's not. But it eliminates, because you've already just said, okay, this is the cost of the trip.
Right.
And I understand that you can do that on your own.
Right.
Like, you can budget for that, but it's not the same.
Right.
It just isn't. So the all-inclusiveness that happens with that is just so freeing. I think it ate up more crowds going to table service restaurants.
It did.
Than what we're getting even with them open now.
Yep, it is. But we would absolutely love to hear what you're looking forward to, or any comments you have on any of the things we're looking forward to. And you can do that on Twitter or Instagram at Salute to the Ears.
Yes.
Please, we'd love to hear it. And with that, we would love for you to go out this week and find your joy.
And have a magical week.